Okay, the top 6 exercises that every mum should be doing. We're going to start with a reverse pull-in. You can do this 2-legged or 1-legged. So as you bring your knees into your chest, you're trying to keep your bum down to the ground. Very good one to strengthen the core, but also the hip flexors. Hip flexors are a very weak muscle in a lot of new mums. As I mentioned, you can do this single-legged or double-legged. We like to do this for the first couple of weeks for the new mum coming in because there's always an imbalance between left and right. It's a similar concept. Bring your knee to chest, keep the palm down. We take that to failure, and we make sure we can match it with the side. Work out which one's weaker. We do that for a couple of weeks. If the imbalance doesn't improve, we'll do it for a little bit longer. Next exercise we're going to work over to, we come over to the Swiss ball. Okay, now a Swissball Jacknife is a very good exercise with a similar concept of training the core and the hip flexors, but this time we're trying to teach the body to bring the legs into the chest, but without rounding out the low back, which is exactly what you need in movements like the squat and deadlift. So with a jackknife, you're going to put both legs onto the ball. You're going to try and make sure you have a straight spine first, and the whole idea is can you bring your knees into your chest without this rounding out so much? That's it, and straighten and bend and straighten. Similar concept to the pull-ins, but now we're educating the body on how to work the core and the hip flexors without compromising the low back. Relax. Another good one while we're here is Swiss ball crunches. So if you want to sit on the ball and roll out, Swiss ball crunches are very good because you think about crunches on the floor, we get limited by how deep we can get because the floor is in the way. A lot of people don't understand is the stomach musculature, the abdominals, can actually extend 30 degrees but flex 30 degrees. Swiss ball crunch is perfect for that. So we've got a nice position where we're extended over the ball, and we're going to flex and bring 2 points of the stomach together. So we're trying to extend the muscles and flex the muscles as opposed to a sit-up. We've already worked the hip flexors, we don't need to engage those. This is much better to target the upper abdominal region while we're doing a flexion, but also fighting the extension of the ball where we get fatigue for the whole muscles there. And then another one you can do, you can't beat a traditional plank. A lot of people do the plank wrong, and why we're trying to teach it. So on the floor, elbows and toes. So the whole idea is to get the core ready before we start exercising into the big dynamic movements is to try and teach the body how not to dump in what's called excessive lordosis. We can really hurt the low back here. So we're going to try to teach, and when I teach an exercise, this is called like a rib to hip angle. So if you want to try and think about shortening the angle between the rib and the hip, really push that spine in a nice strong position. You can't beat the results you get from a nice traditional plank. Another good exercise over here, so we come over to the cables. Next one's a Pallof press. So what we're trying to now is strengthen the body in any sort of anti-rotation movement so that when you are doing heavy weights that you don't be weak in certain areas which is going to damage the spine. So a Pallof press is basically just holding the cable out for 3 seconds and trying to fight the rotation once it happened in the body. So hold for 3 seconds and then go back in and straight back out. We're going to make sure that we're looking at the hips, we're looking at the shoulders, that there's not much rotation going on. So you're going to challenge the core musculature of the obliques, definitely through the low back, fighting any rotation that wants to happen on the spine. Another one is just going to be similar to that. Always like to try and strengthen the side core or any sort of anti-rotation movement is on this exercise here. So in a similar sort of movement where it's strengthening the side core muscles, is just to try and strengthen the chondritis lumborum muscles of the back and also the external obliques. So we're just going to teach how to hold an isometric position first, so arms across the chest, and I'm going to have a look at the spine and make sure that that's a straight spine there. And you can fatigue someone quite a bit here just trying to hold that for 20 to 30 seconds, and they will feel what muscles they're trying to engage and get strong. Once they're quite comfortable, they can get 3 sets of 30 seconds on each side. We can go dynamically. Now, if you want to point your arm down and put the other hand behind your head, you're going to take to your end range, stretch it out as much as you can, and then you're going to contract. So this is obviously a very good one for new mums because you find they're always holding a toddler on one side, and one side is always weaker. It's always been doing all the holding. So same thing when we get a mum come in, we're trying to increase the imbalance between left and right. How much can they do on one side? And I guarantee you every mum has one side very, very weak, 5 or 6 reps, and the other side can do like 10 to 12. So always try and focus on which one's weaker, get that stronger first. Having a nice strong side core is going to prevent any injuries to the spine when you're doing squats and deadlifts.